that whatever beautiful things we have set out for ourselves, we can actually even put a halt to that. So in a way, we become an obstacle to our own journey. We are creating some kind of, in a sense, decreasing the energy level. And so then the pure thoughts and the pure intentions that we have can actually just be delayed. So in thinking about the whole process of procrastination, I don't really want to use this word, but I think I'm going to use the word, and it's laziness actually, and even maybe the word sloth, which is a little bit heavier. But this word was something introduced to me when I went to Cancun in 2010. What happened is that there was an environmental conference, and we went to this place called Maya Land. And this is where they have what they call the Mayan calendar. It's a practical structure of a pyramid that has 7 steps. So the way it's created is 7 steps that reaches to the top, and it's a pyramid. And this beautiful symbol of the Mayan calendar is of evolution of consciousness. And so according to that time, especially when we were working with this idea that the Mayan calendar is telling us at what time in our lives we need to do what thing. So it actually depicts the positioning of our consciousness in that pyramid to tell us where we are. So right at the top of the pyramid is having self-respect and being fully self-realized. So that's the peak of the pyramid. But to get to the point, you need to do the first step. And the first step, which is the bottom rung, is what you need to overcome. And they say that the first step in that thing is to overcome sloth. And so they also, in the Hindu mythology, they also have a beautiful way of describing the different stages of consciousness by talking about the top north, the face, the chest, the upper limbs, and the lower limbs. And each of those limbs also tell us where our consciousness is stuck. And according to that, it'll tell us where we need to evolve to. So in talking about that, if you think about the feet, connected to the foot of this Mayan calendar, that when I start movement, start moving my legs, and I'm quick on my feet and I don't drag my feet, it's the first step of actually overcoming sloth and laziness. And, we use this word sometimes when we're feeling a little bit tired and we're procrastinating. We say, oh, I just have to get a move on. We actually use this word, we have to move on. We don't even say I have to do, we say I have to move. And so this kind of lethargy that gets into us, where it actually stagnates us, it actually holds us down. And that holding down is like the sandbags that we would place when we are trying to inflate the hot air balloon. And so when the hot air balloon is all fired up and the balloon is full, there's these sandbags that are tied to the hot air balloon, so that when we want to take off, we cut the sandbags and then the balloon goes to the air and it starts to fly. And so in our lives as well, there are different levels at which we can have things that are like those sandbags that just doesn't allow us to move. And they actually keep us stagnant. So whether you want to use the word laziness or sloth or procrastination, I think what we're trying to talk about is that we want to get out of this inertia stage where I'm kind of, I have a thought, I have an idea, but it's just too much to move. It's just too much to get going. It just feels too heavy. And the power of this shift is that when I can free myself from all those little things that stop me, I can be that hot air balloon that can fly and can be completely free. So let's just explore a few more things that are the sandbags that is keeping me down instead of getting me to fly. So like I said earlier, that the power of procrastination is really, really powerful. It can stop many things. Just like I said to you, if we use it in the right way, procrastinate a very violent vibration within me, like anger, and I stop it from being expressed, I can actually save myself in many, many different ways. But if I am using the power of procrastination to delay my elevated pure consciousness, then I'll also be doing myself down in a very big way. So the first step to understand is that what is it that allows us to be enthusiastic, to actually jump into a situation and go for it? Because for me, when it comes to procrastination, is that we don't procrastinate all the time. There are certain things we do readily and we don't waste time. So for example, a person who likes to sleep a lot, they will not think twice. They'll just go and say, okay, let me sleep. And so they don't procrastinate the sleep. And that's because some way in their thinking or understanding, they've realized or they've chosen to think that I need the sleep. I have to sleep. This is good for me. And so they just use that as the method to use it to make the decision. On the other hand, there are people who like to work on the computer. They like to do that kind of stuff, which is for them interesting and whatever it is. So whenever they have to do work on the computer, they will readily spend hours on end. They can even work the whole night through and continue and not even see how much time. But if there's a pile of dishes in the kitchen sink, there'll be some kind of thing. If they don't like doing it, there will always be something about, oh, it's so late. Who wants to do the dishes now? We can do it tomorrow. Or if I have to read a book and I don't like reading, then I'll always find, oh, the cupboards need to be set or the gardening need to be done. And so I won't bring myself down to sitting and reading because reading requires concentration and focus, and I don't want to do that. So there are some things that because I have a passion for, I love for, I actually do that. But then things that I don't see the point, I don't understand, I don't feel good about it, then I procrastinate. And this is actually what we want to kind of disclose for ourselves. Because if we can understand what is making me make those decisions, then I can also help myself not get into those traps. And the biggest thing about this procrastination is actually what I'm feeding my mind. What am I teaching myself? Or what I'm telling my intellect about the situation or the task that I have to do. Because if we fear something as well, we'll always delay it because we don't want to deal with the fear. So you can see that procrastination is a very interesting symptom, I would say, for us to, or as something that will help us diagnose what is happening. So if I always say no to functions that are happening at night or things that I have to do at night, maybe I can check and see that, is it because I don't like the night? Is there fear? Is there resistance? So I actually can discover things about myself. And when I understand what the problem is, then I don't actually have to make an excuse not to do that specific thing, and help myself to empower myself or find something else that will help me change that self-talk that I have been telling myself for many years, and then help myself to then progress. Because when we say no to something or we make an excuse, we can fool the next person, but actually it's self-deception. We're only holding ourselves back. And the interesting thing about this idea, when we don't get done what we need to do, then we also find faults with other people. And I think this is actually where it becomes a critical thing in our lives. So the procrastination is definitely a sign that something in me is being affected, something in me that needs to change. So instead of just sort of saying, well, this is what it is, to turn my attention and ask myself the question. So I have found, and I maybe have shared this method earlier in our program, but especially to discover and to disclose to ourselves some of our weak tendencies or where they come from. I spoke to you about this exercise that you do where the first thing but you wake up in the morning is you have a notebook and pen with you. And the question you ask yourself is, how am I feeling? But if I want to be very direct in disclosing this weakness to find out what it is that always I say no to and I delay it, is to ask myself the question at night, to think about what it is that I want to know about it. So say, for example, if I always say no to getting up on stage and delivering a speech, and we know that that kind of thing does happen to individuals. So identifying what it is that I'm saying no to, why I'm delaying it, why I'm procrastinating, and then take that question and then go to sleep. And in the morning when I wake up, ask myself, what do I feel about that scene, that setup that I have actually spoken about? What do I feel about not getting up on a stage and talking? So now you're going to actually listen to yourself, give the reasoning, and then you jot it down. And if you do this for a couple of times, you're actually listening to your own subconscious, and you can actually help yourself discover what is the hidden fear or whatever it was that has actually created an understanding in you why you won't do that specific thing. And it's a very gentle way, because instead of you just pushing yourself and saying, no, I have to do it. And I'm completely convinced that even if you tell yourself you have to do it, it doesn't work like that. Because it's like the sandbag. You're telling the hot air balloon, come on, let's move, but you're not cutting the sandbag. And so it's not going to go. If you think about the opposite of procrastination, where there's no delay, everything happens immediately, it happens on the turn. And as a result of that, the energy is flowing, it's a moving feeling. There's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of happiness, a lot of lightness that is experienced. And in the procrastination, it's always a sluggishness, a slowness, a heaviness, a fear, excuses, all of that kind of stuff. So you can see the contrasting energy. So if we bring back the solution to the procrastination, what we're trying to do is open the self up. So there's any doors within my consciousness that was closed because of a past experience or something that was I don't want to deal with, so I just shut it down, I closed off to it. To actually unfold and actually emerge that, we need to make sure we work with the subconscious and trying to see where that fear is coming from. And to propel that process is also my awareness during the day. So to the extent that I'm more mindful and I stay in the now and I address each thing as it's happening and to be with myself. So this also is a very beautiful thing. When I have to do something, if I have the company of someone to do something which is either difficult or tedious or intimidating, the company of another can actually help me a lot. So in the same way, when I'm in the now, I'm actually the companion of my own self. But this is also a very beautiful opportunity to invoke the presence of the divine and to do things inspired by the highest values of truth. And when I do that, fear will go away, because the divine or the truth is light. And we know that where there is light, there's no shadow of darkness. And in the presence of light, darkness does not coexist, or darkness does not exist at all. So these two little things of being with myself, present, being with me in how I'm doing things, a lot of the time when we don't know ourselves, we try and distract ourselves. When I have to do something I don't like, I play good music so that I engage my mind in the music and then just do what I need to do. And yes, the task will be getting done, but I still feel we're shortchanging ourselves, because everything that we do must not be done under duress. When I can utilize that pure energy of my being to infuse the actions that I have with the peace and the love, then I lift my consciousness, I lift the vibration of the environment, and there's an add-on to myself. It's not that I've just gone through the process and I've done the task. We're not doing beings. So it's not about getting the task done. It's about being. And so enjoying, even if it means I have a whole kilogram of rice to look at and, to de-stone and separate whatever it is. So there's some tedious tasks that sometimes comes our way, sorting, filing, things that we don't see as productive but needs to be done. And so I can, how anesthetize myself by doing something like playing good music and whatever to distract the task. But in fact, if I can find a love for it because I'm infusing good energy, then actually I'll overcome that feeling that, filing is a pain, or ironing is a pain, or, those kind of things that are tedious tasks. So I want to just kind of drop all these ideas. And first, let me open the floor to everyone, including Sister Devendri, to sort of maybe see if there's any questions you want to ask, or like something you want to clarify in this topic of procrastination. Or maybe it's something nobody really actually has a problem with. And if that's the case, then it's okay. We just go straight into our meditation. No one?
Sister? No,
yes.
Sister, it's me here. Yes, I'm interested in the pyramid.
Yes.
You explained the first one and the last one. I am just so curious what is happening in between.
In between. So the very beautiful, I don't see who's speaking. Maybe can you just introduce yourself? I'm not able to see your name.
I'm Seja.
Seja. Good morning,
Yes.
Seja. So it's very beautiful that these different stairs, there's 7 steps. And I have been a meditator for many years. And one of the things that we talk about is that to evolve to the point of self-realization, we have to overcome the body conscious tendencies. And the body conscious tendencies are like anger, greed, jealousy, attachment. So what's interesting is between the laziness and the self-respect is the anger, the ego, the greed, the jealousy. So those are all the different rungs in the in-between steps. So for me, it was quite a revolution, like being introduced to the Mayan calendar, because it told me that when I overcame all these different, what we call vices, which are the influences of thinking about myself as a body, eventually I can come to the point of self-realization. So yeah, I didn't have that knowledge until I saw the Mayan calendar, but I have been practicing it all the time with the practice of Raja Yoga.
Yes. No, thank you so much, sister. I thought so, but I said I really want to get to, maybe there's something hidden there.
Yeah. And when you think about that first step to get moving, which we call sloth or laziness, like for example, if you join this morning program, you have to get going, isn't it? To wake up a little bit earlier, because if you got work to do, you need to organize yourself. So that movement, making that first step is actually the beginning of everything we do. And if we delay that, oh, let me just sleep 5 minutes, then everything gets delayed and then you can't do what you want to do.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sister.
Great. Is there any other questions or any input from anyone?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, I don't see. Oh, yes.
Right. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Mapori.
Good morning.
I want to talk about the procrastination. So it was on point when you spoke about it, because then there are certain things that I didn't realize that were happening with me. And right now, as you are explaining it, it starts to make sense, because every time when I need to go somewhere and I don't like to be in that space, what I would do, I would make excuses. I will wake up early for me to be at that place. But for me to leave the house, I will make excuses. I will go around the house and start cleaning something or packing something, and then in the end, then I'm leaving late. So I'm like, come on, I was supposed to leave early. But what I realized is because I don't like to be in that space. So in my mind or in my system, what makes sense is that delay myself so that I can be there a shorter period of time, compared to be a longer time and be there early and deal with the people there. So yeah, I want to say thank you. Thank you.
So please, Mapore, what you can do is that if you, whatever that situation and that place is, invoke it at night, bring it into your conscious mind and emerge the feelings that you feel when you have to go there, and then go and sleep with that feeling. And when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself the question, why do I feel like that when I go there? And you will see that whatever's that hidden feeling, if you haven't yet addressed it, it'll actually come out in your subconscious in the morning, and then you can deal with it. So you can change your feeling about that place as well.
I think I do know
Isn't it? We're so smart. We have all the answers, right?
I do know the feeling. I know it's based on a past experience. I think maybe I'm still holding on to it, or I'm holding a grudge
Right.
on, and maybe what I need to learn is to let go, and be in the present moment.
Yes.
And find a way to move forward.
Yes.
Move forward without
but
holding.
The writing in the morning is going to help you clarify why you're holding on to as well.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed, because the answer is in you. Nobody else has the answer. Only you have it.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
I see. I thank you so much, my dear. That's very nice. I really love you in terms of, you seem to be responding, and so your spiritual journey has been a very powerful one. I can see you making really good strides. A few times you've responded to different things, and congratulations. This is powerful.
Thank you.
Okay, I think there's one hand that's been raised. Is it Maseka? Please
Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
It's Maseke.
Maseke.
I'm sorry that today I joined a little late, and procrastination is something I'm really needing to work on. What I wanted to check is I have seen that there are some of your classes that do appear on YouTube. Will these classes also appear on YouTube so that if one wants to reinforce on a particular aspect, then one could go there?
Yes, definitely. And if you want like anything more specific, you can ask a question on to our central office, and it will be referred to us, and we can actually speak to you separately as well. So we can give you any assistance you want.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, that's good. Is there anyone that wants to share, give their input? I'm just giving a little time in case you're procrastinating to put your mic on. No one else. Okay. Let's see, there's one question. Okay, the 5-second rule. Yes, I've come across that. It's a TED talk. Sharon, thank you. I think it's there are different things we can all use to help ourselves, and whichever method works for you. The main thing is that when you have a very positive, powerful feeling, don't delay it. Please respond to it as soon as possible, because it comes with an energy. And if you do it, then immediately you'll find that it'll come with such a strength that you'll definitely get the results that you want. Remember, at any given point, we are the master creators of our world. And so if a thought is coming, it's coming from inside of us. And so when we use the fuel of our own thought to do it, then we're coming from a very powerful stage. If somebody tells us to do it or whatever it is, we may use understanding, and yes, we can get it done. But the beauty is that when that thought comes from inside, and sometimes I feel that thought can also be inspired by the divine. So to be able to listen to those powerful thoughts and connect with those feelings and do it immediately, and then we'll find that whatever we want to achieve in terms of our own growth to benefit others will happen very naturally. Okay, Sister Devendri, anything you'd like to add or share?
Good morning. I just want to add 2 thoughts. The first is I really agree that a deep level of introspection is required for an individual to sort of really understand on a much deeper level what the blockage is in getting activated and overcoming that inertia and, initiating the activity or the task at hand. But procrastination is a little bit even more than just overcoming the inertia and starting a task. Procrastination sometimes can also sort of creep in when it comes to completing a task. Completing a task means, from the beginning through the middle until the end, and then packing and cleaning away. Packing away and cleaning, should I say, at the end of the task. And I feel with the introspection, we can actually identify at which point for us in the task process we sort of falling short. For some of us, it might be the initiation and the inertia. For others, it might be to sustain that initiation and to continue to exert the self. And for a lot others, it might be the task completion. And, setting the environment and keeping it in order once the task is completed. And usually it's got something to do with some level of anxiety, some fear of the outcome, and some fear of how the outcome of that task is going to be received, or whether it's actually going to be a success or failure. And that anxiety is sometimes so subtle. So at any point in that process, the person might sort of delay. And the introspection, I agree, Sister Usha, as you said, will really help us to work on those deeper aspects so that we can actually engage in the entire process of create, sustain, and then complete. And the other thing about procrastination, which I find very useful, is one, I, as an individual, might be procrastinating in some way or delaying. But the other is that I might be a witness to someone else's procrastination, and it becomes very tricky when maybe their engagement in the task in some way is necessary for me. Maybe I'm, somewhere along the line in terms of the production line, or I'm waiting to receive the outcome of whatever they're doing so that I can start with my thing, etc. And I think we need to really have a lot of mercy and be mindful that there's no margin for judgment. We actually can't really make assumptions about the reason why someone is procrastinating. And even when we witness that they might be procrastinating in one particular activity, but they might be very intensively involved and be able to pull long hours in another activity, it's an assumption on my part if I try to figure out without constructive inquiry as to why they might be doing it, because I might fall into judgment, There could be, very sensitive reasons why a person would prefer to do one task in comparison to another. Sometimes there might be health issues, energy, fatigue that I might not be aware of. The other thing is that sometimes I might perceive somebody's non-engagement in a task as procrastination, but possibly it's an act of assertiveness. Maybe they don't want to take on something that was actually left incomplete by someone else, and they consider it to be inconsiderate. And so it's their value system where they would rather prioritize tasks in which they have more control of the entire process, meaning initiate, sustain, and complete, rather than come in and be expected to complete somebody else's task that they initiated and sustained halfway and then dropped. So I'm just painting so many different scenarios. And I think it's important because a lot of, or everything that we've been sharing in this whole series is about willpower. And we understand now that willpower is a lot about my mental space, my emotional space, my spiritual space, and holding that energy, holding that power. And all of these things, the judgments, assumptions, etc., could actually open the doorway for leakage of that power, unnecessarily, actually. And so it's a very broad and comprehensive topic, I think, and it's quite individualized. And so with that mercy, I think I can take the time on an individual level to understand myself in terms of my tendency to procrastinate, and any other person in my zone, if I witness what I perceive to be a procrastination, it might be my duty then to actually really get to the bottom of it, not in an intrusive way, but in a very supportive way. Just because, like I said, I need to protect my energy space and not allow that leakage. So thanks. Those are the two things that I wanted to add on.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to share something with relationship to other people. So I find that when we're dealing with procrastination or any of the weaknesses, whether it's anger, whatever, on a spiritual journey, if I'm busy being looking at what other people are doing, so for example, when it comes to uh, if somebody works very slowly and I want to get on with it, then I can say, oh, that person is very slow. But actually, it's not about that person being slow. It's the fact that actually I'm impatient. So I think for me, it's also important, and I think it's good that Sister Devendri clarified about the judgment, because on this specific task that we onto the world power, it's our spiritual journey that we are engaging in, so that we can actually help ourselves achieve the things we set out to. And no matter who the person is, the people are, the situations are, to make sure that what they do does not really become a little hurdle or a reason why I would stop. And I get a feeling also that it's very important for us to make sure that, if I blame somebody for something that I couldn't do, and I get that person out of the way, I'm pretty convinced that actually somebody else with the similar uh, sets of qualities will come in my space to do the very same thing. So it's nice to liberate ourselves from the idea that actually nobody can be in our way, nobody can be the obstacle on my journey. And so to any way blame or to judge or to criticize anyone for what is happening in my life, I think will be a little bit short-sightedness. uh, Really, rather to make sure that I'm using all the possible things to diagnose and expose my own kind of things that I need to, so that I get to know myself really well. And the parts that are difficult for me, that are, maybe just an inability because I can't do it. Uh, I can find something else to help me do it, so that I still find myself not forcing myself and putting myself. So when I can't do something, it's not an excuse, but I just can't do it. And I have the self respect to know that that's not my sphere. And so that also is what's beautiful, that then I don't feel shame when something doesn't, that I step away from, because I'm not trying to prove myself to be everything. And so I think the self respect in this whole journey is really the most important thing. So thank you for that, Sister Devendra. Really, it's not about us looking at other people, using them as markers or whatever, but to really know that at the end of the day, the freedom I experience inside of myself, that nothing stops me, that there's that beautiful energy inside of me that allows me to continue without any preconceived preconditions as well. And I'm thinking that, we've got only a little bit of time left. There's no other thoughts or ideas. Then maybe let's step into our meditation. So I invite you to just step inside and become still. And with one thought, I move my attention away from the expansion of what I see, what I hear, what I can touch. And I go into this beautiful space of silence and stillness. And in that very beautiful center, which is the seed of my consciousness, I find myself to be filled with the essence of peace, purity, love, happiness, joy, wisdom and power. I know that beyond all the unlimited expressions of matter, whether it's through the form of another person, a situation, I'm able to become an observer and put a full stop and bring myself into the awareness of my own self. To the extent that I know myself, I appreciate myself, I trust myself, I am able to have this clear, deep sense of patience, respect, and care for me. And these are beautiful and powerful qualities that are essential on my journey, on this journey of life. I can get very caught up in the things I need to do, have to do, am accountable to do. But I find that all the things we do is just the stage. It is an opportunity for me to act and perform different roles and responsibilities. I am completely aware that while I perform those roles and responsibilities to the fullness of my capacity, so that the being that I am is truly exposed without any deception, without any compromise, to ensure that I am true to myself. I take time each day and nurture this seed, bring it in front of the divine, so that I, as that being, am constantly healed. I can remain whole. I can be refreshed. And in taking care of myself in this way, when I embark on any physical task, whatever task is given to me, I do it with a deep sense of being true to my inner values. Each act that we perform is truly a dance of the inner qualities emerging in the form of words that I speak, the expression through my eyes, through my features, the tasks that I perform through my hand. So I don't separate my true values when I am in action, when I am interacting. There is a continuum of keeping that inner energy alive and vibrant. And so each thing that is then done through this body continues to be a reflection of that beautiful seed of peace, purity, love, happiness, joy, wisdom, and power. And it is this power that will allow me to remain stable and constant. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. See you tomorrow.
It's through your wounds that the light gets in. It's in the darkest room that the candle glows. It's at the bottom of the deepest well that the softest earth will break your fall. It's on the mountain that I learned the most. It's when I fell down that I knew my strength. It's not my mistakes tell you who I am, but what I do with them and who I will become. And I will rise like a poor child given a chance, and I will rise like the sun up through the clouds, and I will rise every time that I sing. And when I fall, I'll fall gracefully. 'Cause when I fall, I am given wings. Though I am poisoned, though I'm dark and sad, though I am angry at pictures from my past, I am both loving, I am pure and light, I am shadow and mist, both the peace and the fight. It's through your tears that you'll see his face. It's through surrender that you'll ride the wave. And if the walls are built to block your path, just get up and find another way. And I will rise like a poor child given a chance, and I will rise like the sun up through the clouds, and I will rise every time that I sing. And when I fall, I'll fall gracefully. 'Cause when I fall, I am given wings. And I will rise like a poor child given a chance, and I will rise like the sun up through the clouds, and I will rise every time that I sing. And when I fall, I'll fall gracefully. 'Cause when I